Almost every fine issued in the following bus lane has been cancelled, and I'm going to explain why. This is a controversial bus lane as reported by Birmingham Live. This is the bus lane here which many barristers would probably be familiar with. Not familiar that it's a bus lane, but familiar with the street nonetheless, because this is Bridge Street in Walsall, which is home to the Walsall County Court. I've been there many times myself. Now, this is reported as a controversial bus lane because many people used to drive down this as a shortcut through one part of Walsall to another. However, it's now been turned into a bus lane, and lots of people have been issued fines, but most of those, according to Birmingham Live, have been cancelled. They've been challenged on the grounds that the signs were unfair, unclear. There's been complaints filed, and Birmingham Live submitted a Freedom of Information request to Walsall Council to find out how many appeals there were, how many have been lodged, and what proportion have been successful. It says here, so far, all but one of 832 penalty charge notices were cancelled after they were appealed. So let's take a look at why. Now, if we look at Bridge Street from the top end here, you can, apart from the signage on Google Maps here, which I don't know how to get rid of, but if we zoom in, you can see the bus lane signs here in operation between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. and likewise on the other side of the road over here. So you can quite clearly see that this is now a bus, cycle and taxi lane only to go down Bridge Street. Now, just pausing for explanation for a moment, these signs need to be clear, they need to be visible, and they ought to be on both sides of the road. Just like a no entry sign, it ought to be on both sides of the road. Now, I haven't looked up the regulations recently, but I understand that they're supposed to be on both sides of the road. I don't know if that is absolutely mandatory for every one of these types of sign. Maybe someone that works in that field who's previously been very helpful can let me know in the comment section below. But from the top end here, it is very clear from that position. But we are sitting in the box junction here. So if we were to go back up the road somewhat to the junction. So now we're in the middle of the junction. You can see the bus coming in here. This is approaching Bridge Street here. Let's get onto the other side of the road, if Google Maps will allow me to do that. So you get to this point here, you could turn left, or you're faced with these signs over there. Now, that's from the top of what I call the top of Bridge Street, but let's look from the bottom of Bridge Street. This is the other end. Now, this is a notoriously confusing section of road, which makes more sense if you're on foot, because you obviously have to go across the crossings. Now, there's lots of lights here. You can see this little keep left bollard to make you avoid this central reservation. You've got this cycle sign on the floor over here. You've got lights over here. Now, the only one you can see is this sign here. Now, that's only on the right-hand side. From this perspective, you can't see anything else. So if you're coming in the car to this side here, it looks like you can just go around the corner. And of course, you've got the lights with a left filter, which a green arrow to the left makes it look very much like you should be able to go around the corner to the left. If we move to my next tab here, you can see even more clearly that as you emerge around that corner, it says two-way traffic here. No sign on the left-hand side. The county court is just on the left up there. No other sign. So there is no other sign on the other side of the road. So presumably, lots of people that have come up from this side have been unfairly stung. There's the county court on the left-hand side there. So many people would have been coming up from this side and quite possibly missed that sign on the entry. So this just goes to prove my point that I've made many times before, that these signs should be absolutely clear. Now, like I said, I don't think it's absolutely mandatory that they're on both sides of the road. I'll stand to be corrected, but nonetheless, they should be absolutely clear. But this sign here, sandwiched between traffic lights that say green and green filter left, to me, and you've got this two-way warning symbol over here, to me, any reasonably minded driver would come around here and quite understandably would think that you can go up there. Now, why am I doing a video on this? Because this is not going to be the only example of this in the country. So if you get a penalty charge notice, which is the official kind from the council for contravening road traffic regulations and so on, then you do need to take that, I would suggest, slightly more seriously than a parking charge notice. Not that I suggest you ignore parking charge notices, because they can have consequences as well. You can end up being taken to court for those, and the costs can increase. But the penalties, they're going to apply whether you like it or not, unless you challenge it successfully. But as in this report here, all but one of these were successfully challenged, and there were 832 penalty charge notices cancelled after they were appealed. So if you've been stuck going through this road, you've now got my understanding of why I say these have been cancelled on appeal. And if you're in any other place in the country and you've got anything else that is remotely similar, these are grounds upon which you can file your appeal. The signs were not clear. And if you want to have a robust evidence pack, check out proofify.app, which is an app that I've developed with a very talented developer, which will linked in the description below. Take photographs of the signs and make records and everything else and store it on Proofify in case you need it later. Many people say, yes, you can take photos yourself, you can store them in files yourself. Yes, of course you can, but most people lose them. Now, as a lawyer, from me to you, most clients' biggest problem is a lack of evidence. They can't find it, they don't have it, they've deleted it, they've lost it, and when it gets to court, maybe they've just forgotten that they've even got that bit of evidence. And I've lost track of how many clients have come back to us after judgment because they've been so upset at losing the case and said, we've now found this bit of evidence, can we go back? And my answer to that is usually no, because you cannot appeal something purely on the basis that you found the evidence afterwards. Because if you could have found the evidence with reasonable diligence the first time around, that's when you should have brought it to the forefront and brought it to court. So challenging a judgment on the fact that you found new evidence is not going to work, that you disagree with a judge's reasoning is generally not going to work unless it's absolutely unreasonable, in which case you can go for judicial review, but those are very few and far between. Normally, it's only going to be an error of procedure or an error of law, not because you didn't find the evidence the first time around. So check out Proofify, linked in the description below. Be a happy snapper. Take photographs of everything you think you might just need. And I'll give you an example. When I'm parking somewhere and I've paid for it, every single time I will use this and I will take a photograph of the machine saying, do you want the receipt? We've accepted your money. Here's the receipt. And then I'll take a photograph of the receipt. Yes, it sounds prolific, but I store it all, because if ever the system failed and they come to me to try and charge me and then I just don't have it, I didn't take a photograph, and I'm just lost to prove my case, I've got it stored. So check it out, and that's how you can appeal these penalty charge notices. So check out Proofify, that will help you. And in the meantime, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.